Kylian Mbappé is one of the biggest names in football, loved around the world not just for his skills, but also for how kind and humble he is. But what happens when he walks into a fancy restaurant dressed like a regular guy and is treated like he doesn't belong? Drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. We love to hear from you. Emma Carter's day began just like always. Her alarm screamed at 5:30 a.m., pulling her out of what little sleep she had gotten. She looked over at her mum, who was curled up on their old couch. Medical bills were piling high, and every dollar Emma made at the restaurant went toward keeping them afloat. She got into her clean work uniform, tied her hair up, and grabbed her bag. With a soft goodbye, she stepped out into the cold New York air. The restaurant was always the same: greet customers, take orders, and most importantly, don't make Mr. Thompson, the manager, mad. The place was full of rich people, big time. Business folks, influencers, and even celebrities. They all expected things to be perfect. Halfway through her shift, a man walked in. He wore old sneakers, jeans, and had a hoodie pulled over his head. He didn't look like the usual customers. Emma saw her co-workers whispering and ignoring him. Without thinking twice, Emma grabbed a menu and walked over to him. "Good afternoon, sir. Can I get you something to drink while you look at the menu?" He looked up and smiled. "Just water. For now, thank you." His voice was calm and nice, so different from the usual rude customers. She nodded and walked away, but she could feel the weird energy in the room. The waiters gave her cold looks, and Mr. Thompson had already noticed her. His eyes were sharp and angry. Emma didn't care. She believed everyone should be treated with kindness. What she didn't know was that this one small act of kindness was about to change everything. As Emma walked back to the kitchen, she could feel all the eyes on her. The other waiters were whispering, some shaking their heads like she had done something wrong. Mr. Thompson stood near the bar with his arms crossed, watching her like a hawk. She poured a glass of water and brought it to the man. He was staring out the window, lost in thought. When she placed the glass on the table, he looked up and gave her that same warm smile. "Thank you," he said. Emma smiled back. "Of course, take your time." But just as she turned to walk away, she heard her name. Emma, it was Mr. Thompson. He was coming toward her, wearing the fake smile he used for customers. But the way he looked at the man sitting at the table wasn't friendly at all. "Sir, are you sure this is the right place for you?" he asked, sounding polite but clearly judging him. The man tilted his head a little. "I think so, unless I walked into the wrong place." Emma's stomach dropped. "Not at all," she said quickly. "He's a guest just like anyone else." Mr. Thompson didn't look at her. "I just want to make sure our customers feel comfortable. This is a fine dining establishment." The man looked at him calmly, then nodded and picked up the menu. "I'll have the grilled salmon, please." Emma wrote the order down, but when she glanced at Mr. Thompson, she saw how tight his jaw was. He was not happy. Back in the kitchen, Lisa, one of the other waitresses, grabbed Emma's arm. "Are you out of your mind?" she whispered. Emma frowned. "What? For doing my job?" Lisa sighed. "You know how Thompson is. He doesn't like people who don't look like they belong here." Emma shook her head. "That's ridiculous." But deep down, she knew Lisa was right. Something felt off, and it was about to get worse. When she brought the meal to the table, the room felt colder. The whispers got louder. Some customers even gave the man dirty looks. Emma didn't understand why they cared so much about who he was or how he looked, but her next move would change her life forever. Emma placed the plate of grilled salmon in front of the man. The whispers around the room grew louder, and the cold stares from customers and staff only made her more nervous. She tried to keep her head up, but it felt like every move she made was being watched. Mr. Thompson stood near the bar, arms crossed, eyes fixed on her like a lion ready to pounce. Emma forced a smile and said gently, "Enjoy your meal." Then, turned to walk away. She didn't even make it 2 steps. Emma. Mr. Thompson's voice cut through the air like a knife. She stopped. Slowly, she turned around. The entire restaurant went quiet. Forks stopped midair. Conversations ended. Everyone stared. "Come with me," he said, his face calm but his eyes burning. Emma followed him toward the back of the restaurant, past the kitchen into the staff area. As soon as the door closed behind them, his fake smile vanished. "What do you think you're doing?" he snapped, his voice low but full of anger. Emma blinked, confused. "I'm just doing my job." Mr. Thompson laughed bitterly. "Your job is to protect this restaurant's reputation. Do you have any idea how many important people are here today, and you're busy serving him like he's a VIP? "He is a customer," Emma said firmly. "I treat everyone with respect." His eyes narrowed. "You don't make that call, I do." He stepped closer. "Do you know who's sitting at table 5? A billionaire investor. Table 3, a famous politician. And instead of focusing on them, you're waiting on some nobody who probably can't even tip you." Emma's heart pounded. "You don't know him." "I don't need to," he said coldly. "I know what he looks like, and I know what kind of place this is. We don't serve his kind here." Emma's breath caught. "His kind?" Mr. Thompson smirked. "Don't act shocked. The owners care about money, not fairness. And the people with money don't want to sit next to someone like him." Emma took a step back, her fists clenched. "So I was supposed to ignore him, like everyone else? I'm saying you shouldn't have served him at all, and because you did, you're fired." The words hit her like a brick. "What?" she whispered. "You heard me. Pack your things and leave. Now." Her eyes stung. Through the glass panel, she could still see the man calmly eating his food, unaware of what was happening behind the scenes. She wanted to scream, to fight back, but she knew it wouldn't help. "Please, Mr. Thompson, No," he snapped, "and if you make a scene, I'll make sure no restaurant in this city hires you again." Her legs felt weak, her chest tight. With a deep breath, she nodded. "Fine." Emma walked toward the locker room, her heart thudding so loud it echoed in her ears. Every step felt heavier than the last. The other staff watched her, some with pity, some just pretending not to care. Lisa rushed over, grabbing her arm. "What happened?" she whispered. "I got fired," Emma said, barely able to get the words out. Lisa's eyes widened. "What? Why?" Emma's voice trembled. "Because I treated a customer like a person." Lisa looked furious, but before she could respond, Mr. Thompson barked from the kitchen. "Hurry up, Emma! You're wasting time." Emma opened her locker with shaking hands. She took off her apron and stuffed it into her bag. She looked around the room one last time, the same room where she had worked long shifts, smiled through pain, and tried her best every day for 2 years. Now it was over. She stepped outside, and the cold air smacked her in the face. She didn't move. She just stood there, the wind brushing her cheeks, the city buzzing around her like it didn't care. No job, no plan, no clue what to do next. But as she looked up at the gray New York sky, something strange happened. She felt relief. Deep down, she knew she had done the right thing. What Emma didn't know was that inside the restaurant, the man she had served, Kylian Mbappé, had seen everything, every word, every look, every injustice, and he wasn't going to let it slide. Emma walked down the crowded New York streets, her thoughts running wild. Just this morning, she was a waitress working a normal shift. Now she was jobless, humiliated, and unsure how she'd pay rent or cover her mom's rising medical bills. She pulled out her phone, no missed calls, no messages offering help. Just one text from Lisa. "Lisa, I can't believe this. It's not fair. Are you okay?" Emma let out a dry laugh. Okay? She had just been fired in front of a full restaurant. And for what? Being decent? Before she could respond, another message popped up. "Lisa, Emma, do you know who that guy was?" Emma frowned. "What kind of question was that, Emma? What do you mean?" Lisa, go check the news, now. Emma's heart skipped. She opened her browser and typed in Restaurant Incident NYC. The first headline made her freeze. Kylian Mbappé humiliated at upscale NYC restaurant. Waitress fired for showing him respect. She stared. Her breath caught in her throat. Kylian Mbappé does in the Kylian Mbappé, one of the most famous athletes in the world. The man she had served without knowing who he really was. Her hands trembled as she clicked the article. In a shocking incident, global football icon Kylian Mbappé was mistreated at a luxury New York restaurant. Witnesses say only one staff member, Emma Carter, treated him kindly. She was later fired for her actions, sparking public outrage. Videos were already circulating. Customers had recorded everything. The restaurant's name was now trending, but not in a good way. The comments were flooding in. Unbelievable. Emma Carter should be praised, not punished. Kylian Mbappé is a class act. Shame on that restaurant. Someone please give Emma a better job. Emma's head spun. Her phone buzzed again. Lisa, he's looking for you. Emma blinked. Emma, who? Lisa, Mbappé. He's trying to find you. He wants to talk. Emma's hands went cold. This couldn't be real. Then, another message, not from Lisa, a new number. She hesitated, then answered. Hello, Emma Carter? A woman's voice asked. Yes? This is Sophie Laurent. I work with Kylian Mbappé. He saw what happened and wants to meet you if you're open to it. Emma nearly dropped her phone. Emma's voice shook. He wants to meet me? Yes, Sophie said kindly. He was deeply upset by how you were treated. He believes in standing up for what's right, and he thinks you did exactly that. Emma felt her knees go weak. Just yesterday, she was worrying about tips. Now, she was being invited to meet Kylian. Mbappé, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything yet, Sophie replied gently. He just wants to speak with you in person. He's staying at the Four Seasons in Manhattan. Would you feel okay meeting there tomorrow morning? Emma stared at the sidewalk, mind racing. This was all too much, too fast. But something inside her whispered this could change everything. Yes, she said finally. I'll be there. Sophie gave her the details and ended the call. Emma stood still, holding her phone like it might disappear. She looked up at the tall buildings and glowing lights, unsure whether to cry or laugh. She had lost everything in a moment and gained something she never expected. The next morning, Emma stood outside the gleaming Four Seasons Hotel. Her thrifted coat felt out of place among the polished glass and golden doors. She clutched her purse tightly, heart racing. She stepped inside. The lobby sparkled with chandeliers and marble floors. Business people in sleek suits passed her by, making her feel even smaller. At the desk, she spoke softly. I'm here to see Sophie Laurent. The receptionist gave a small nod and made a call. Moments later, a tall woman in a black dress appeared. Emma, she said warmly, I'm Sophie. Come with me. Emma followed her down a quiet hallway. Every step felt like walking into a dream. They reached a private lounge. Sophie opened the door, and there he was, Kylian Mbappé, sitting on a plush couch in jeans and a dark hoodie. He looked up, smiled, and stood. Emma, he said, it's good to finally meet you. Emma's breath caught. I don't know what to say. You don't have to, he replied gently. I saw everything that happened. I saw how you treated me, with respect when no one else did. Emma shook her head. I just did what anyone should do. He smiled, though there was sadness behind it. Unfortunately, that kind of kindness is rare, but what you did, it mattered. Emma sat across from Mbappé, still trying to believe this was real. He leaned forward, his tone serious but warm. I can't change what happened at that restaurant, he said, but I can help change what happens next. Emma's brows drew together. What do you mean? Mbappé looked to Sophie, who gave her a small nod. "We have friends, restaurant owners, who believe in treating their staff with dignity," Mbappé explained. "If you're open to it, we can connect you with places where you'd actually be respected." Emma's heart thudded. "You mean a job?" "A better one," he said, "where people see your worth, not just your uniform." She blinked hard, trying to stop the tears. Yesterday she thought her world had ended. Now she was being offered a lifeline. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. Mbappé smiled. "Just say yes." Emma let out a shaky laugh. "Yes, I'd love that." Sophie clapped her hands softly. "Perfect. I'll start making calls today." Emma turned to Mbappé, still overwhelmed. "Why are you doing this?" He leaned back, expression thoughtful. "Because I've been judged by how I look too, and I know what it means when someone treats you like you matter." Emma nodded slowly. She wasn't just getting a new job. She was getting a second chance. Tomorrow, her new life would begin, and she was ready for it. The next morning, Emma stood outside a sleek restaurant in downtown Manhattan. The gold letters above the door read, "Littell, New York, one of the best restaurants in the city." She took a deep breath and walked inside. The scent of fresh bread and roasted herbs filled the air. Warm lights glowed above polished floors. Everything felt elegant, but not cold. A man in a chef's uniform greeted her with a smile. "You must be Emma." "Yes, sir," she said, nervous. "I'm Chef Laurent," he said, shaking her hand. "Kylian told me about you. I admire the way you stood up for what's right." Emma smiled, feeling the warmth rise in her chest. "I just treated someone the way I'd want to be treated." "And that," he said, leading her to a quiet table, "is exactly the kind of person we want here." Emma sat across from Chef Laurent, her hands resting in her lap as he asked her questions, not just about her work, but about her values. He wanted to know how she handled rude customers, how she stayed calm under pressure, and how she treated her team. She answered honestly. She told him about the long nights, the unfair rules, the times she felt invisible. But she also spoke of the joy in making someone smile, the pride in doing her job with care. After a while, Chef Laurent smiled. "You're hired." Emma blinked. I am?" "Yes," he nodded. "We need people like you. You'll start as a senior waitress. If you work hard, there's room to grow." Her eyes filled with tears. She had never been told she was needed before, not like this. "Thank you," she whispered. "Welcome to the team," he said warmly. She walked out of the restaurant feeling light, as if a weight had finally lifted. She had a new job, one that saw her, valued her. She couldn't wait to tell her mom and Lisa. But just as she stepped onto the sidewalk, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered slowly. "Hello?" A voice she recognized came through. "Emma, it's Mr. Thompson." Her stomach dropped. There was a long pause. Then he spoke, a nervous laugh in his voice. "Emma, listen. I think we should talk." She gripped the phone tighter. "Talk? I saw what's happening online. I think maybe there was a misunderstanding. Maybe we can fix this." "No." The word left her lips firm and clear. "Excuse me?" "I said no," Emma repeated. "There was no misunderstanding. You fired me in front of a restaurant full of people. You made it very clear how you see me." Mr. Thompson hesitated. "Emma, don't be hasty. Things get taken out of context. Not this time," she said calmly. "I've already moved on, and you should too." Before he could say another word, she hung up. Emma wasn't the same girl who walked into that place scared of losing everything. She had lost something, but gained much more, and this was just the beginning. Emma walked home, her heart full for the first time in a long time. She had a new job, a real opportunity, and more than that, she had stood up for herself. As she stepped into their small apartment, her mom looked up from the couch, a cup of tea in her hand. "You're smiling," her mom said, surprised. "That's a rare sight." Emma chuckled and sat beside her. I got a new job. Her mom's eyes widened. Where? Emma smiled. Littell, New York. The teacup nearly slipped from her mom's hands. Emma, that's one of the top restaurants in the whole city. I know, she said, still not quite believing it herself. And they wanted me, not just because I needed a job, but because they saw my worth. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. Sweetheart, I'm so proud of you. Emma held her mom's hand tight. There's more, she said gently. What do you mean? Emma took a breath. The man I served that day, the one I got fired for helping, it was Kylian Mbappé. Her mother gasped. The football player? Emma nodded. I didn't recognize him at first, but after everything he found me. He made sure I was okay. And he's the reason I got the new job. Her mother covered her mouth, speechless. That's incredible, she whispered. Emma let out a breathy laugh. Tell me about it. Just then, her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. She answered cautiously. Hello? Emma Carter, came a friendly voice. This is Javier Cruz, a journalist from the New York Times. We'd love to talk to you about your story and the amazing way Kylian Mbappé stepped in to help. Emma's heart skipped a beat. An interview? With the New York Times? She glanced at her mom, who looked at her with wide, proud eyes. This wasn't just her story anymore. It was about respect, dignity, and how one act of kindness could change a life. Emma took a deep breath. Yes, she said, I'd love to share my story. The next morning, Emma sat in a quiet cafe across from Javier Cruz, the New York Times reporter. A small recorder sat on the table between them, its red light blinking as it captured her. Every word. Javier smiled as he flipped through his notepad. Emma, when you served Kylian Mbappé that day, did you have any idea who he was? Emma let out a small laugh. Not a clue. To me, he was just another customer. But unlike most people in that restaurant, he was kind. He didn't act like he was better than anyone else. Javier nodded. And when your manager fired you, did you ever think that moment would lead to this? Emma shook her head. I thought I had lost everything. I didn't think a simple act of kindness could turn into something this big. He leaned in slightly. How does it feel, knowing millions of people now know your story? Emma looked down for a moment, gathering her thoughts. I feel grateful, she said softly. Not just because I got a new job, but because people saw what really matters, how we treat others. Kindness matters. Javier smiled, clearly moved. And Kylian Mbappé, if he were here now, what would you say to him? Emma looked up, her eyes shining. I'd say thank you for not just helping me, but for reminding me that standing up for what's right is always worth it. The interview wrapped up, and as Emma stepped outside into the crisp New York morning, she felt lighter, freer. She had spoken her truth, and the world was listening. This was only the beginning of her journey. She wasn't just a waitress anymore. She was proof that kindness, even in its simplest form, could shake the world. News of Emma's story spread fast. Her interview was shared everywhere, on websites, TV channels, and social media. People from all around the world were touched by what she did. Messages poured in from strangers. You're a hero, Emma. Thank you for standing up for kindness. You gave me hope again. Emma couldn't believe how many lives her story had reached. All she had done was treat someone with basic respect, but it meant something. It meant everything. She began to receive offers. Restaurants, community groups, even schools wanted to hear her speak. Not just about what happened, but about doing the right thing when it's hard. One evening, as she was organizing her schedule, her phone buzzed again. This time it was a video call request from Kylian Mbappé himself. Emma's heart jumped. She quickly accepted. His face lit up on the screen, that same calm, warm smile she remembered. Emma, he said, I just wanted to say again, thank you. The world needs more people like you. Emma smiled. I should be the one thanking you. None of this would have happened without you. He shook his head. No, you did this. You showed the world what real strength looks like. I just helped tell your story. They talked for a few minutes. Just two people who shared a moment that changed everything. When the call ended, Emma sat in silence for a while. She wasn't sure where this path would lead, but she knew one thing. She wasn't afraid anymore. Days turned into weeks, and Emma's life continued to change. She thrived at her new job at Littell, New York. Customers loved her, the staff respected her, and for the first time, she felt seen, not just as a worker, but as a person. She moved her mom into a better apartment. The medical bills no longer felt impossible. She finally felt like she could breathe again. One afternoon, as she set a table with care, Chef Laurent approached her. "There's someone here to see you," he said with a smile. Emma turned, and there was a young girl with her mom, holding a folded newspaper with Emma's picture on it. "She wanted to meet the woman who stood up for what's right," the mother said softly. Emma knelt down, smiling at the girl. "You're really brave," the little girl whispered. Emma's heart swelled. She had never thought of herself as brave, but maybe she was. That night, as she walked home, the city lights shimmered around her. She thought about the girl, about her mom, about the moment that had changed everything. A small act of kindness, a decision to do what was right even when it cost her everything, and in the end, it gave her so much more. Respect, dignity, a voice, a future. Emma had started with nothing, but she walked into the unknown with kindness, and life had answered in a way she never imagined. This is Emma's story, a story of courage, loss, and the quiet power of doing what's right. And you, what would you have done in her place? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and follow for more true stories that inspire, because sometimes the biggest change starts with the smallest act of kindness.